I will now call to order the December 19, 2024 Clackamas County Board of Commissioners business meeting. Administrator Gary Schmidt, would you please take the roll?
Yes, Chair Smith. First, our staff support today, County Counsel Jane Vetto, Clerk to the Board Andrew Jiraki. Commissioner Schrader will be joining online, but she's not here yet. We'll let you know when she does join. Roll call. Commissioner Shull.
Here.
Commissioner West.
Present.
Commissioner Savas.
Present.
Chair Smith.
Present. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. We are holding this meeting in person and virtually. If you've joined us via Zoom for this meeting and are interested in providing public comment, we will prompt you how to do that when the time is right. General public comment will be taken at the usual allotted time. I would like to remind all participants, including staff, all elected officials, and members of the public that Robert's Rules of Order will be followed in this business meeting. We welcome your participation and look forward to your polite comments. Gary, what's the first item?
First item today, Chair, is a presentation, and it is 2024 Clackamas County Year in Review video. Tonya Holowiecki, Director of Public and Government Affairs, will present.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chair Smith.
Good morning.
I'm here today to share our annual video showcasing a few of the county's many achievements in 2024. These achievements are thanks to your vision and your leadership and our collective commitment to making Clackamas County a better place to live, work, and play. So without much ado, Andrew, can you please play the video?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thanks for all that you do.
Yes, that was a great wrap-up for a very successful year. And thanks, Tonya, your staff, and everybody who participated.
Thank you.
Gary, what's next?
Those are just the highlights. If we showed everything, we would have a 16-hour business meeting. So we just did the highlights for the video. Thank you. All right, next is a public hearing. Item 1, second reading of ordinance number 05-2024, an ordinance amending Clackamas County Code, Chapter 6.06, Park Rules. Dan Johnson, Director of Transportation and Development, will present.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Chair Smith, Commissioners. Back in October, actually October 23rd, we approached the board about some changes, minor modifications, and some housekeeping changes to our park rules, which is essentially Title VI of the county code. These changes were essentially provided a variety of benefits and dealt with a number of issues identified by park staff, our Park Advisory Board, County Council, and others. I'd like to just share for the record, the Parks Advisory Board unanimously approved the changes that are under consideration by the board at the second reading. We came forward before the board on December 5th for the first reading, and I do want to make sure that we clearly articulate during that process. There were some minor changes that were proposed by the board, essentially Section 6.06.020, the definition section, subsection A, where it talks about approved camping shelters. During those proceedings, there were some recommendations by Commissioner West that were seconded by others to essentially add the words personal vehicles designed or used specifically for overnight outdoor camping, such as a Class A, B, or C vehicle, essentially adding the words personal and or used for. That's the verbiage that was given to us, and we've edited that and included that in the second reading before you today. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. Does any commissioner have any questions? Look, Commissioner Scholl.
Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
As a liaison to the Parks Board, I want to thank Tom Riggs and the Parks staff for their excellent work, and also for the members of the County Parks Advisory Board. They've been a pleasure to work with. They're all very dedicated, and they do. They run our parks without general fund now, and so it's not been easy, but they're doing a good job. And again, thank you to everybody from Parks staff and the advisory board who worked on this ordinance change.
Thank you. Any other comments at this time? I will now open a public hearing and entertain comments. Is there anyone in the room who would like to issue a comment on this particular issue only regarding the change in the parks rules? Seeing none. Clerk, is anyone online who wishes to comment on this particular hearing?
Madam Chair, I've received no advanced registrations to speak on this specific topic, but if you are attending virtually and would like to speak to this specific issue, please raise your hand and I will call on you in the order that I see. Madam Chair, I see none.
I will now close the public hearing and ask if there's any further discussion. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Chair, I move that we read the ordinance by title only.
Second.
Commissioner West has moved we read the ordinance by title only, and Commissioner Savas has seconded that motion. Go ahead. Do I read that by title only? I move we read the ordinance by title only. Do I?
That's just the motion, so we don't read it yet.
Got it, okay. Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Would the clerk please take the poll?
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Madam Chair.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much, Dan, for all your work, and staff for all your work on this over probably the last year.
Yeah. We'll do it, yeah.
The motion is approved. The clerk, please assign a number and read by title only.
The ordinance will be numbered 05-2024, an ordinance amending Clackamas County Code, Chapter 6.06, Park Rules. Madam Chair.
Do the commissioners have any proposed changes or amendments to the draft ordinance at this time? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Chair, I move for the approval of ordinance 05-2024, an ordinance amending Clackamas County Code, Chapter 6.06, Park Rules.
Seconded.
Commissioner West has moved for approval of ordinance 05-2024, an ordinance amending Clackamas County Code, Chapter 6.06, Park Rules, and Commissioner Scholl has seconded that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the poll?
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Madam Chair.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much. Gary, what's next?
Next is the consent agenda. It is a long one. Andrew, would you please read the consent agenda?
It is a long one.
Consent agenda. Item A, 1, elected officials. Approval of previous business meeting minutes, Board of County Commissioners. 2, approval of a revenue agreement with the Oregon State Police for the purchase of live-scan biometric data machines. Agreement value is $50,000. Funding is to the Oregon State Police. No county general funds are involved. 3, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Multnomah County for law enforcement use of the Clackamas County Public Safety Training Center's Bowman Training Complex. Agreement value is $200,000 for 5 years. Funding is through Multnomah County. No county general funds are involved. B, County Administration. 1, approval of a social games license for the Oregon Poker Club. License value is $25. Funding is through the Oregon Poker Club. No county general funds are involved. C, County Council. 1, approval of a board order amending operating rules for the Board of County Commissioners. No fiscal impact. No county general funds are involved. D, Juvenile. 1, approval of a personal services contract with the Latino Network for juvenile justice system diversion services. Agreement value is $1,316,564 for 5 years. Funding is through the Oregon Department of Education. No county general funds are involved. E, Finance. 1, approval of a contract amendment with Barry, Dunn, McNeil, and Parker for additional grant subrecipient monitoring and subrecipient agreement support services. Amendment value is $70,000. Total contract value is $425,000 for 2 years. Funding is through $243,787 of county-approved American Rescue Plan Act funds and budgeted departmental cost allocations, which does include a small portion of budgeted county general funds. 2, approval of a contract amendment with North Santiam Paving for the Loop Road and Parking Lot F projects for the new county courthouse. Amendment value is $749,134.88. Total contract value is $4,894,734.88 for 16 months. Funding is through budgeted county general funds and is eligible for 50% reimbursement from the Oregon Courthouse Capital Construction and Improvement Fund. F, Technology Services. Approval of a board order for a purchase order with Telecom Surplus Resources for fiber, cable, and other broadband expansion materials. Purchase order value is $152,010. Funding is through county-approved American Rescue Plan Act funds. No county general funds are involved. 2, approval of a board order for a purchase order with General Pacific for fiber, cable, and other broadband expansion materials. Purchase order value is $229,089.74. Funding is through county-approved American Rescue Plan Act funds. No county general funds are involved. 3, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Sandy for construction boring services for the Colorado Road project. Amendment value is $160,000 for 1 year. Funding is through county-approved American Rescue Plan Act funds. No county general funds are involved. 4, approval of a board order for a purchase order with Carasoft Technology Corporation for county website hosting and other cloud services provided by Acquia. Total contract value is $201,812.76 for 3 years. Funding is through budgeted departmental cost allocations, which does include a small portion of budgeted county general funds. G, Health, Housing, and Human Services. 1, approval of an amendment to the Revenue Intergovernmental Agreement with the Oregon Health Authority for tobacco prevention and education programs. Amendment rescinds $91,977.56. Total agreement value decreased to $12,361,498.20 for 2 years. Funding is returned to the Oregon Health Authority. No county general funds are involved. 2, approval of a personal services contract with Northwest Family Services for housing navigation, case management, and Gladstone Food Pantry funding. Agreement value is $684,997 for 6 months. Funding is through the Supportive Housing Services Measure funds. No county general funds are involved. 3, Approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Happy Valley for a homelessness liaison coordinator position. Total agreement value is $383,050 for 30 months. Funding is through Supportive Housing Services Measure funds. No county general funds are involved. 4. Approval of a federal subrecipient agreement with Micro Enterprise Services of Oregon for bilingual technical assistance to low-income micro-businesses owners. Agreement value is $82,300 for 9 months. Funding is through the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. No county general funds are involved. 5. Approval of an amendment to a contract with the Clackamas Service Center for food access, rent assistance, and eviction prevention services in Milwaukee. Amendment value is $450,000 for 6 months. Total contract value is $1,225,501.47 for 32 months. Funding is through Supportive Housing Services Measure funds. No county general funds are involved. 6. Approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Lake Oswego for behavioral health case management and food pantry services. Total agreement value is $840,000 for 30 months. Funding is through Supportive Housing Services Measure funds. No county general funds are involved. 7. Approval of a change order to a public improvement contract with ASA Construction for the Clackamas Village project. Change order value is $362,085.66 for 4 months. Total contract value is increased to $3,700,627.22 for 1 year. Funding is through Supportive Housing Services Measure funds. No county general funds are involved. 8. Approval of a revenue grant agreement with Care Oregon for behavioral health services. Total agreement value is $2,892,546 for 1 year. Funding is through the Oregon Health Plan. No county general funds are involved. 9. Approval of an amendment to a contract with Trio Community Meals for congregate and home-delivered meals to older adults. Amendment value is $197,907.12 for 5 months. Total contract value is $2,288,457.12 for 5 years. Funding is through the Oregon Department of Human Services. No county general funds are involved. 10. Approval of a board order for a purchase order with Omnia Partners for generators, air conditioners, and portable power stations for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Purchase order value is $449,900. Funding is through the Oregon Department of Human Services. No county general funds are involved. 11. Approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the City of West Lynn for the West Lynn Food Pantry, homeless client assistance, and outreach supplies. Total agreement value is $145,000 for 30 months. Funding is through Supportive Housing Services Measure funds. No county general funds are involved. H. Public and Government Affairs. 1. Approval of an amendment to a contract with EZO for on-call support to county departmental community engagement initiatives. Amendment value is $100,000. Total contract value is $200,000 for 3 years. Funding is through budgeted departmental cost allocations, which does include a small portion of budgeted county general funds. I. Transportation and Development. 1. Approval of a community development block grant application for crosswalk enhancements at the intersection of Southeast Roth Road and Southeast Austin Street. Total grant value is $300,000. Funding is through the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development with a match of $381,771 of county road funds and $209,429,000 of county fee in lieu of sidewalk funds. No county general funds are involved. 2. Approval of a work and financial plan with the United States Department of Agriculture for cooperative wildlife inspection and assistance services. Total agreement value is $15,000 for 1 year. Funding is through county road funds. No county general funds are involved. 3. Approval of the Metro 2040 Planning and Development Grant application to conduct the Development Ready Land Study. Total grant value is $1 million. Funding is through Metro. No match is required. No county general funds are involved. Madam Chair, that concludes the consent agenda.
Bravo, very good. Does any commissioner wish to remove anything off of this particular consent agenda? Seeing none, I will call for a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Commissioner Scholl has moved for approval of the consent agenda, and Commissioner Savas has seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the poll?
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl.
Aye.
Madam Chair.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much. Gary, what's next?
Next is
I will now
the-
recess,
oh,
sorry,
okay.
my script. I will now recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as a Development Agency Board. Gary.
Next is the consent agenda for the Development Agency of Clackamas County. Andrew, would you please read the consent agenda?
4. Development Agency Consent Agenda. A. Approval of a community development block grant application for an enhanced crosswalk on Southeast King Road. Total grant value is $200,000. Funding is through the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development with a match of $360,000 in North Clackamas Revitalization Area Urban Renewal District funds. No county general funds are involved. Madam Chair, that concludes the consent agenda.
Does any commissioner wish to remove any items off of this particular consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda for the Development Agency as read.
Second.
Director West has moved for approval of the Development Agency consent agenda, and the motion has been seconded by Director Savas. Any further discussion? Would the clerk please call the poll?
Director Scholl.
Aye.
Director Savas.
Aye.
Director West.
Aye.
Madam Chair.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. I will now adjourn as a Development Agency Board and convene as a Water Environment Services Board. Gary, what's next?
Next is the consent agenda for Water Environment Services. Andrew, would you please read the consent agenda?
5, Water Environment Services Consent Agenda. A, approval of a public improvement contract with Colton Homes for replacement of odor control biofilter wood chip materials at the Kellogg Creek Water Resource Recovery Facility. Contract value is $233,500 for 4 months. Funding is through Water Environment Services Sanitary Sewer Construction Funds. No county general funds are involved. Madam Chair, that concludes the consent agenda.
Thank you. Does any director wish to remove any items off of this consent agenda? I will entertain a motion.
I move for approval of the Water Environment Services consent agenda.
Seconded.
Director Savas has moved for approval of the Water Environment Services consent agenda, and Director Scholl has seconded that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the poll?
Director West.
Aye.
Director Scholl.
Aye.
Director Savas.
Aye.
Madam Chair.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. I will now adjourn as a Water Environment Services Board and reconvene as a Board of County Commissioners. Gary, what's next?
Next is public communication.
This portion of the agenda shall be limited to items of county business which are properly the object of board consideration and should be nonpartisan in nature, as the BCC is a nonpartisan governing body under Oregon Revised Statutes and County Code. Testimony is limited to 3 minutes. Comments shall be respectful and courteous to all. As a reminder, you may email submissions for public communication at bcc@clackamas.us, and these will be accepted as part of the public record. I will open the meeting for public testimony and take in-person testimony first. I have 3 cards. Up first, no particular order, Elvis Clark. Please come forward, state your name, your area of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello, Elvis Clark of Milwaukee, Oregon. I wanted to thank this commission and especially Chair Smith and Commissioner Scholl for their governance this last 2 to 4 years with common sense. You brought common sense and maintained it here. You held the line on taxes and fees, and that helps with the cost of living here in Clackamas. Oh, okay. And you helped give us law and order, maintain that law and order where we saw the neighboring county really slip in that area. You took a balanced approach to homelessness and drug addiction and nudging people into treatment. And you slowed down the ODOT program to road toll us for no improvements in the road. And you opposed the natural gas bans that are being thought of in various places in like my city. And you took the approach to the melding pod, the American concept of melding pod, rather than the more divisive approach of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. which is turning out to be more of a model of employee grievance than anything else. So my message is one of thanks for this commission, and I hope the new commission will not slip into the tax and spend policies that we've seen in the other parts of the metro area, and that's my hope. And also, I wanted to comment that the Clackamas Parks and the commission has done a really good job of running the Milwaukee Community Center. That's a real gem, and I'm hoping that Milwaukee and Clackamas can work out something where that gym continues to be a real asset in our city of Milwaukee. Thank you very much, and Happy New Year and Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Elvis.
Thank you, Elvis. I like your tie. It says, ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. Great. Thanks for coming forward.
Nice.
Up next is Stephen Hunter. Please come forward, state your name, your area of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Welcome back, Commissioner West. I wish you a complete and speedy recovery.
Thank you.
Yeah, I see you hobbling around.
Thank you.
You're a young man. You'll do fine.
Feels less and less young every day, my friend.
Yeah, this morning I would like to continue my narrative of the past month on election integrity. And you have in front of you an article I printed out, Substack by Jeff Eager of Eastern Oregon. And I'm going to just read a couple of highlights from that, and you can then read it over eggnog in front of the fire at a later time if you wish. But the title is Molly Woon Out, Elections Director and Center of Non-Citizen Voter Registration and FTX $500,000 contribution messes resigns, effective January 14th, 2025. In lieu of removal, it's pretty obvious that she was going to lose her position. And as said, before her stint as elections director, Woon was a mainstay in Oregon Democratic politics, having served as deputy director of the Democrat Party of Oregon. Woon's brief tenure as election director was controversial from the start. And referring to the non-citizens being registered and put on our voter rolls, she said at the time when the state was just hearing the extent of its registration of non-citizens, that registration of non-citizens to vote would not affect the 2024 election. Woon did not offer a basis for her prediction. Goes on to say, the governor and secretary of state this week, which would have been last week, certified the election in immigrant-rich House District 22, wherein Democrats regained a tax-hiking supermajority in the House of Representatives on the back of a 161-vote victory by the Democrat in a race the Republican incumbent led until days after the election. In other words, they kept finding ballots and kept finding votes for the Democrat until that Democrat won the race. Joining Woon in resigning is Director Kip Mimot. I probably butchered his name, my apologies. He defended his division's audit of Oregon's cannabis regulations despite the involvement of Fagan, a former Secretary of State, who became a $10,000 per month consultant for cannabis firm LaMota while serving as Secretary of State. What this article is bringing out is the Secretary of State's office, which is directly responsible for our elections, is not a nonpartisan body, and it has.
Go, continue.
Oh, thank you very much.
I only have one more card after you.
And it has a lot of problems. And if I may, in the comments, which you don't have, there was a comment by Joshua Marquis. Most of you probably know of him. Lawyer and former district attorney of Clatsop County. He served in this position from March of 1994 until December of 2018, being reelected 6 times. Marquis is currently the Director of Legal Affairs and co-chair of the National Law Enforcement Council for Animal Wellness Action, a nonprofit organization preventing cruelty to animals. He was also Circuit Court Judge Pro Tem for the Supreme Court in October of 2019 and through 2022. His comment, thank you for the extra time, as a recovering Democrat, the one statewide vote I felt good about was Tobias Reed for Secretary of State. When I was an elected official for a quarter of a century, as we read, I found myself often defending Oregon as a state where political corruption was non-extant. I argued that incompetence was common, but not corruption. I was wrong, as has been shown by the shenanigans of the Secretary of State, Governor, and Attorney General. I am not yet a Republican, but I am now, like most Oregonians, a true independent. And I found that very enlightening. And, I don't want to take too much time. Just a couple of quick notes. I want to thank you for your fiscal responsibility you've shown this past year. It's been tremendous and uncommon in government, I tell you, and I appreciate it because that's coming out of all of our pockets, every day. So, and I've got a special request, if I may, if you could ask the county clerk to please, for no cost, release Form BP 039. There are no restrictions on releasing this document to the public. It is left to the discretion of the clerk. And I'm not an analyst, but our analysts in election integrity have requested that form, and that we have been denied that form. Other counties have released that form.
Gary, would you look into that? I don't know what it is.
Yes.
I have no idea what that request is about, but if other counties do it and we're not, that's an issue. I don't know if that's true either, but thank you, Stephen.
Okay,
for
thank
coming
you.
forward. Up next, Les Poole. Please come forward, state your name, area of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Greetings. Les Poole. I'm an Oregonian. I'm not trying to be a smart aleck when I say that, but it's been an interesting time, and here we are. There's going to be a new administration in Washington, D.C. Regardless of whether you like Mr. Trump or not, the message from the election was clear, and it reinforces what we're hearing today from some folks about how the county's been run, especially during the last couple of years. I know Commissioner West would like to take credit for all of that, but it's really been a joint venture. I've got to talk about an issue that I didn't intend to, and so I'll bump through some things so I don't take up too much time. One question, it would really help if there was a way to get the word out about what this new service or recovery center is, what it will be. It's not Project Turnkey. It's not an overnight facility from what I understand. And it's right down the street from the Clackamas Inn. I'm confused as to what's going to happen with the property, and people are just asking me, well, what kind of facility will it be? And I'm letting everyone know that it's not Project Turnkey, that's for sure. And I think that the whole Project Turnkey, I don't want to call it a fiasco, I'll call it an experience, was enlightening for a lot of folks, and in the end, the outcome for homelessness and for services was adopted that was different than what the state and others were doing, and I'm really grateful for that. And Chair Smith took a lot of heat. got attacked for daring to look deeper at something and change her mind, and she made the right decision. She really did. And during this last few years, we've seen a lot of good work. There's a building next door, the courthouse, looks like it's almost done. And there's a lot of comments were made earlier about what's been accomplished, and I want to reinforce those. I see I'm down to 36 seconds, so I better move along. There's a very pressing issue out there, and we all know about it. The chair commented last week, others have commented, and that's the ironic situation with newly elected Commissioner Fireside. And I think back 4 years ago when there was an onslaught of power dynamics, an onslaught to get Commissioner Schultz to resign.
Go ahead.
Yeah, to resign for some things he had written before he was elected. Well, now we have a far more serious issue. And I want to make it clear that the police don't come to your house or raid your house unless there's a lot of evidence. And unfortunately, we have someone that, after this broke, she remained silent, to the best of my knowledge. Now, I think she probably, and this is an assumption, probably told some of the folks in her campaign. I think because of the seriousness of this, there's going to be a lot of requests for public records, so it'll be real clear who knew what, where, and when. What matters most is that Melissa knew. Melissa didn't say anything. That is unconscionable. And I don't see how you folks can work with her once she's sworn in. I don't see how that can happen. And I'll wrap up by saying that because Melissa knew what was going on and didn't say anything, the outcome of the election was clearly affected. And to Ms. Waller, who calls in frequently, after the election, she mentioned the voters had spoken. Well, I believe the very narrow margin of victory for her would have been wiped out had the public known what was going on. So I would hope that she would resign after being sworn in. She's not guilty. I'm not here to pretend I'm a lawyer. But when someone takes down their social media, shuts down their campaign website, and doesn't even make any comment at all, and basically goes dark, that's an indication that that's probably someone you're not going to be able to work with. It really is. And this is unfortunate because we're at the end of the year. I wanted to have some positive comments, and here I am, unfortunately, dealing with something that you folks have inherited. And just want to make sure that I've covered what I wanted to say. Oh, I do want to make it clear I'm not speaking for a group. I'm not speaking for an organization. These are my observations, my comments. And I would hope that anyone, especially Ms. Waller, would identify whether or not they're representing a group or an organization. She's the chair of the Clackamas Democrats, or whether they're speaking for themselves. Unfortunately, here we are with changes coming, and hopefully there's a message in all of this. The public is not happy, and they were unhappy long before this. So some of you are going to be here after the first of the year, and hopefully you can stay out of the mud. I know this is really a messy situation, and you got a lot of important things to do, like continuing to stop tolling.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Regarding the accomplishments of Clackamas County, there have been many in the last 4 years. I'm going to highlight some of those in my comments at the end of this meeting. There were several questions regarding that recovery center. Commissioner West, would you like to address those?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to take too much time Mr. Poole, at any time you have any questions about the Recovery Campus, where we're going with that, how it is much different, how that is intersects with the narrative and the things that happened around Project Turnkey, I'd be more than happy to explain those things, and I want to make sure that we're being responsive to people's questions around that. So please feel free to reach out to me, and we'll get those answered. The campus is much different than Project Turnkey. It really was our pivot away. We didn't say no. We said no to Project Turnkey, and it was a very difficult decision for this board. It was not without a lot of consideration and angst and struggle to grapple with the question around Project Turnkey, but we pivoted away from that, and now we're creating this recovery-oriented system of care, and the kind of the hub of that system is the campus that fills in the gaps within an overall care continuum that allows people that are struggling in different various stages of addiction or homelessness or mental health disorders to get the treatment and the care that they need and to deal with the human causation that has caused them to be there in the first place, and to appropriately wrap around intensive services around them. And it's an all hands on deck. We're all stakeholders in the success of our own community and helping people get recovered. And it was a very intentional move that we made. And this is infrastructure on a campus setting that allows people to get that care, whether it's earlier on and they're more acute in their needs and they need some level of treatment or detox, but it could also go all the way into they're further along within their recovery process, maybe a year and a half into it, and now they're getting back into the workforce or they're back in school and they have peer supportive housing around them and those types of things. So it really is bringing not just a hotel room around them, but intentionally through trauma-informed care, building an entire system that works to help get them back on a pathway to being self-sufficient and healed and back in our community. So it's quite visionary. There's nothing like it in the region, and we're really proud of that work. And if you have more questions around that, and I know we are talking about this more and more, there's going to be more information given to the public. We want to make sure that you're all on board with us, and let's please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to kind of walk people through that process that we went through over the last year and a half.
Thank you. Commissioner Savas?
Yeah, I just want to say on the Recovery Center that maybe we can get Mr. Poole the public information that's posted on the website and other stuff about the public activities we've gone through to get us to where we are today. And he can obviously reach out to any of us if he has any details, and I encourage him to give me a call if he has any other questions. I do want to just say, hindsight's 20/20, so you never really know for certain where things may end up. But I feel, in we've been discussing at length here the supportive housing services and the pressure and what Metro is doing. And and again, to anyone's defense, including the Metro counselors, no one knew in 2020 when they put in the ballot that we would see the radical inflation and our buying power, whether it's a grocery store or it's renting a room or it's buying a car or fixing your car. Inflation is having a deep impact on everyone in this country, especially here in Oregon as well, because of the higher housing cost. So with hindsight, knowing what's coming with regard to potential cuts and the factoring in, again, no one knew that we would see this inflation spike. I just want to remind everyone, because now we're talking about seeing less income from the supported housing services, and a lot of people are we're paying a lot of rents for those hotel rooms. And that savings back then when we were considering that, and through that conversation, I made the remark that if we don't buy this property, that being the turnkey property at Sunnyside, it would be an additional $3 million a year cost that those taxpayer dollars would have to cover. And that is proven itself to be a fact. Just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Commissioner Savas. See no further commissioner comments on this particular part. Is there anybody else in the room who would like to testify in person today? Seeing none. Andrew, is there anyone online on Zoom who would like to testify?
Yes, Madam Chair. I've received 2 advanced registrations to speak today. I will call on them first, and then for anyone else who would like to speak, I'll have you raise your hand. I'll call on you in the order that I see. From the list of pre-registration, first I see a Ira Duyanin. Apologies if that's a mispronunciation. I will unmute you, and you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Good morning. Could everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Good morning again. My name is Ira Dianan. I am with the Culinary Union in Las Vegas, Nevada. Our union represents hospitality workers in the casino hotels in Las Vegas. Our members are housekeepers, EVS cleaners, cooks, food servers, cocktail servers, and bartenders. I want to talk to you about Fengate Asset Management, the Canadian private equity firm you have heard about. It's part of the consortium that's developing the $313 million Clackamas County Courthouse. Fengate is also an owner of Virgin Las Vegas. We understand that there have been questions by the public and elected officials about the Fengate-led courthouse project, about the lack of transparency about this public-private partnership. In Nevada, our gaming regulators recently recommended a gaming license for the executives of Virgin Las Vegas without asking deep questions about the influence and impact of the owners of the casino, including Fengate, would have on the casino operations. The lack of transparency is similarly concerning. Our union has been researching Fengate and its investment track record and business practices. We look forward to sharing due diligence information about this Canadian private equity firm with you. If you'd like to get in touch, please email me at Duyanen, DUYANEN, @culinaryunion226.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew, who's next?
Madam Chair, the second advanced registration I've received to speak today is from an R.J. Cook. R.J. Cook, if you are online and wish to speak, I will have you please raise your hand. I'll call on you to have 3 minutes to speak.
Good morning.
Good morning. We can hear you.
Great. Hopefully this is a little way to end your year on a little bit of a lighter note. So a little something for you here. 'Twas the week before Christmas and all through Clackamas County, time to respond and reflect on 2024 year's end bounty. There's those who are happy, there's those who are sad. Some who are wondering how the year ended so bad. Administrator Schmidt's work, our house did not flounder. He worked to ensure county's now financially sounder. Commissioners made decisions, most good, a few bad. Worked state and metro options representing us, and we're glad. Commissioner issues that will not wait, UGB boundaries still awaiting our fate. Stafford, Hamlet, and 3 cities, again on the plate. $1.2 million land study, penciling out, not so great. Speculators and land bankers, we questioned how they're able. Stafford on the menu again. Developers, donations, puts them at the table. The character of Stafford we're talking about, please, when you're planning, don't again leave us out. CPO volunteers working hard, Hamlet residents are supporting. Better communication with staff and commissioners we're purporting. Rural-urban interface has been our new mission. Active agriculture in Stafford is what we are wishing. A safe local food source is our great carbon sink. Stafford rural-urban interface, right place, don't you think? 4 of the top 5 greenhouse gas emitters surround Stafford's region, need a plan for kids and the critters. Strike up a regional ban, Stafford and 4 cities agreed. Need regional climate plan, county to join us, we plead. We touch some of the issues when next year's work begins. Commissioner Scholl and Smith, good assets you've been. We wish you well, good luck and Godspeed in your ventures and journeys. No doubt you'll succeed. As we come to the close of year 2024, hoping 2025 opens new doors. Our wish for the new year, county communications improve and CPOs and hamlets are given their rightfully due. Approving goal 1 would be divine with commissioners and staff, committees and boards all will shine. Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and Christmas, whichever you're pleasing, please remember why we celebrate the season. There are those these are our thoughts. Our reasons seemed right. Season's greeting to all, and to all a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Cook, for that very entertaining year-end poem. Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Cook. I was telling staff, one of my staff here this morning, that I had some phone calls to make, and you're actually on my list. And so I want to take this opportunity. I wanted to ask Gary a question yesterday, but he was out. He was not available to answer. And Commissioner Scholl and I talked about this briefly as well. My understanding, and correct us if we're wrong, I'm wrong, but I thought that my interpretation was that the land study would really be a technical staff to staff of all the jurisdictions that were willing to have a conversation. And it really wasn't a public process where we were going to actually make any land development moves or anything else. Is it, or is it not really more technical staff and a technical exercise than it is a public exercise?
Correct. It's a technical effort between the staffs of the jurisdictions that wish to participate in Clackamas County, and we'll then present all of that to the elected officials, governing bodies, for you to discuss.
And that's the research that Commissioner Scholl and I did prior to that work session. I also want to add that this is not any effort to make an application for any land use changes whatsoever. And the reason that cities are in the driver's seat on this is because that's how pretty much the Metro Code works. The cities have to be the initiator. They have to do the development study. They got to be the applicant. And unfortunately, that is not in the hands of the county to do per se. And it's not available legally for hamlets, villages, or the public to initiate all without the cooperation of a city. Again, it goes back to the city. I just want to make that technical message. And Rick, I was looking forward to talk to you, but I have a long list of stuff. If you want to call me, call me. But thank you for your comments, and I saw your emails, and I appreciate your humor. You certainly have a gift, my friend.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner West.
That was one of the most entertaining and fun and creative public testimonies I've ever heard, and I really did appreciate it, and thank you for bringing the Christmas spirit into that. I think we all enjoyed it. I don't know if you can see us, but we all had a smile on our face. I talked to Mayor Buck about that because we also got a letter from the city of Lake Oswego. I talked to Mayor Buck last night, and just trying to feel this out. And to figure out, what the concern was and be responsive to it. One of my thoughts was, and maybe, I don't know if we're going to answer today, but is if we're not, that's not on the table is to change any of the land use for the Stafford Hamlet area. It's just, it has to go through, there's an IGA, it's with the three cities, and there is no, this study's not really applicable to that segment, I would think, of Clackamas County. There's no appetite right now to make any big swinging adjustments. Why would we ever put it into the study, and why would we extend the effort there? I don't think there's any threat. I didn't see that. Like, I literally didn't see this being anything that was a concern until I got the email from the city of Lake Oswego and from the concerned citizens there. So I don't know, Gary, what your thoughts are around that, but I don't really, is it probably likely it was never going to be like a focus of the study anyways, based on the realities that we just have there?
So I don't have the staff report in front of me, but this is to look at all unincorporated land within the urban growth boundary to look at potential for development for economic development. So that is the study. It's a technical study that we then give back to you, and you decide what you wish to do with it. So no one should be alarmed.
Okay.
It's collecting data that you need, frankly, and the other jurisdictions need to make informed decisions going forward.
And I guess just my question is that potential is a big word there. I don't foresee any potential looming in that area, even though it's unincorporated Clackamas County. But I know that maybe we have to have this, maybe I need to have this conversation further offline, but I guess that was just, I'm just trying to get a grasp why people are concerned about it and what our focus primarily is.
The focus is to create an inventory of lands that could potentially be available, because this is partly in response to Metro's study or proclamation, is what it usually is, saying, oh, there was enough land in Clackamas County to be developed for growth. And we know that's not true. And frankly, they cook the books on their own information, and this is a counter to that, frankly. And we need to know how many acres are available in Clackamas County to accommodate the expanding growth we've seen in the last 4 years. This county has grown by 25%. We have businesses weekly, daily, calling up wanting to relocate to Clackamas County, and we need to be responsive to those needs. So I don't think anybody is going to be all hot and bothered by it. This is good governance, and it will be very public when we get the information. Thank you. Mr. Savage.
I just add one element of this. The other thing it's going to do is actually evaluate available infrastructure nearby. And
I forgot that, but thank you.
yeah, and I just want to add that because of the governor's emphasis and focus on housing, a number of cities and counties around the entire state, and we've talked to a lot of them, are very concerned about there's a lack of infrastructure money to build. So I would say areas that are infrastructure deficient are probably safer from development than areas that have available infrastructure. And this study will tell us where those areas are that have a lot of infrastructure and where they're not. And I think that will probably direct where development goes. We're going to go where there's the most amount of infrastructure available.
Thank you very much. Yeah, okay, we're going to move on. Thank you. This is not for debate necessarily, but thank you. Andrew, is there anybody else online who would wish to testify?
Madam Chair, that concludes the names that I've received to advance register to speak today. If there's anyone who has not registered to speak and would like to speak during public comment, please raise your hand, and I will call you in the order that I see.
So Rick Cook has raised his hand again. Do you want to give him a chance to speak?
He's done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
We're going to move on. We're not going to debate something that isn't even there yet. Okay? Thank you. Rick, you please send your comments by email, as I know you know how to do that. Thank you. Anybody else?
No, Madam Chair, I see none.
Thank you. I will close the public communication portion of this meeting, and we will move on. Gary, what's next?
Commissioner Schrader has joined online. She's on the phone. Commissioner Schrader, would you please say hello? I want to make sure everyone hears you. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yes, we can, Commissioner.
Yes.
Oh, great. Well, just let me apologize for, I never thought outside of the big city of Boston I would have such technical difficulties. Evidently, my daughter's home does not have a very good reception for my phone, and she neglected to leave me the her address in order to get into her Wi-Fi, and I tried about 3 or 4 times, and just going to chalk that up to not being lucky at Christmas time. I did listen to the discussion about the land use, and one of the things I have to say to folks is, look, don't go looking for zebras. We have needed to do this study for a long, long time. It is not really to actually pinpoint any one place in particular. It's really to do an entire global assessment of what's where, when, and how. It by no means is going to be, from my perspective, actively trying to identify something that, a piece of property in the particular, but we've been needing to do this inventory for a long time. And I'm just going to tell people to please don't go looking into for more things that are there. So I did want to add that, and I'm assuming you can still hear me because I heard beeping on my phone. But I just wanted to thank all my commissioners for the years of work that I've been able to do with them. Particularly, I'd like to give a big shout out and kudos to my dear friend, Judy Smith. Judy, you have been one of the best chairs I've ever had the opportunity to work with. I enjoy you, you're forthright, you're decisive, you move agendas along. I think that you have been instrumental in making Clackamas County the powerhouse that it is today. And not only just because of you, because you have always allowed your other commissioners to move forward in their specialty areas. And that is, Paul Savis in transportation. It's, my dear friend Ben, who is doing fantastic work with a recovery center, and also Commissioner Shull, who has been our forestry person from the get-go and has managed, and as well as MPAC, so stepping up to the plate, both at MPAC and both on the forestry issues. And I really have enjoyed working with you. I really want to let you know how much I'm going to miss you. I hope I can see you frequently. I hope we can remain friends. I hope that you enjoy your family. And I hope that you know that you are going out of your service to this county with 5 gold stars, because you deserve it. And then Commissioner Shull, you've been fantastic too. I'm probably the least military of everybody, but you've always kept me on my toes. and you gave me a wonderful compliment the other day that I will always remember. And you said to me that, Martha, I don't know how you do, you kind of run on grace. And I want to thank you for that, because I think how we do things is entirely different, but having your clear-headedness and your ability to see through problems and issues clearly and to come up with a very logical, step-by-step solution to how we do things and what the solution is has been a huge asset to this board, and it will be sorely missed for sure. So to both of you, I hope I see you again. I hope that we all remain friends. Lastly, the last two again, Ben, I don't know what to say to you, but I feel like you're one of my sons, which I guess can be a good or a bad thing, but you are a kick to work with. And Paul Savis, thank you so much for everything you've done on transportation. There's no one that can meet your knowledge, meet your capacity to understand all the details that everybody has to know about that complex issue. You do it diligently and you do it well. And I am also proud to call you my friend, as well as all of you. So Merry Christmas. Thank you ahead for your forgiveness because of my technological ineptness. But I didn't want to leave this last meeting of the year with telling how much I care about all of you and how proud I am of the work that we've done this past year. And when people try to make it difficult, I just tune them out and tell them to leave me alone. We are on the right course. And those of us that are going to be here for the next 4 years will make sure that we bring your values and stay on the right course as well. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everybody. I'm going to miss all of you. And can't wait to get back to work again in January, since I have had the blessings to do so, which I consider a privilege. So thanks and Merry Christmas, and thanks to staff for everything you do to keep us online and on task. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Schrader. Your words are very kind. We're going to move on with the agenda. Gary? First, I will close the public communication. There's no one else online, correct?
Yes,
Gary?
that's correct, Chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Next is County Administrator Update. That's me. I'd like to recognize our incredible employees during my report. As this is your last board business meeting for 2024, I'd like to hit the highlights of the updates I've shared with you all year long for today's last meeting. And mostly they are comments that the public has made about our employees. And I want to share just some real quick highlights. So these are all things members of the public wrote in to Clackamas County. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me and let me talk. Being a new mom can be so isolating, and you are always so kind and nice to talk to. Next, we thank you and the other staff for completing the road project in a timely manner and for allowing us to be informed. Next, you are a real advocate for me. I am grateful and will be grateful for the rest of my life. Recovery is possible. Next, I am so grateful for the opportunity our family was given by this program. Our autistic son is flourishing, and our daughter is making friends and coming out of her depression. We are so grateful to Clackamas County. We've received over 40 notes of thanks for fixing potholes on time, and within 7 days of being reported. I'm not going to read all those, but we do those here as well. Quickly, I do want to recognize several employees that received state and national awards this year that I've told you previously. Robin Dawson from the Gladstone and Oak Lodge Libraries received the 2024 Library Employee of the Year by the State of Oregon Library Association. Huge recognition. Brianna Cruz from Disaster Management and John McDowell from Technology Services received a statewide award from the Oregon Emergency Management Association for their work on dynamic emergency evacuation maps, which was on our website during times of disaster. Transportation and Development received a national award from the American Public Works Association Project of the Year nationally for the Linwood Avenue Corridor Improvements Project. Just a few highlights of the amazing things that our employees do every single day. And I want to thank them on behalf of you, I'm sure you would as well, the incredible public employees of Clackamas County, all 2,500 of them, who work every day, all year long, to serve the public and to support you, commissioners, and helping make sure the residents and businesses of Clackamas County are well served by their government. And I believe we do that. Next, this is the last business meeting for 2 members of the board. And on behalf of Clackamas County, we have a very, very small token of our high esteem for you and your incredible work. I'm going to put them here for the camera. We have an award for Chair Smith and for Commissioner Shull. The camera's going to zoom in on that, and I'll read it. It says, for Tootie Smith, Chair, Clackamas County Chair, 2021 to 2025, with sincere appreciation for your outstanding service to Clackamas County and its public. And for Mark Shull, Clackamas County Commissioner, 2021 to 2025, with sincere appreciation for your outstanding service to Clackamas County and its public. It has been an honor to serve with you, Commissioner Shull and Chair Smith. You've done your very best to serve the public of Clackamas County, and it's shown in the incredible achievements that you and this board have done. And you know, the voters speak every 4 years, and we respect the will of the voters, but it's tough for staff because the boards come and go, but we all appreciate your incredible service and dedication to Clackamas County and its people. And on behalf of the staff and the organization, I hope you'll accept these very, very small tokens of our high esteem. I'm actually going to walk up and hand them to you right now, very quickly. Thank you so much, Commissioner Shull and Chair Smith.
That's beautiful.
Thank you very much, Gary.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
This is very
Pretty.
It's very pretty, thank you. Now, something else to dust in my house, but with honor.
And I'm sorry, one more last comment, some business. As you know, the Board of County Commissioners will be on recess from December 20, 2024 through January 6, 2025. This is the last board business meeting for the rest of the calendar year. The next board business meeting will be Thursday, January 9, 2025 at 10 a.m. That is my update. Thank you, Commissioners.
Well, thank you very much, Gary. We will go on to Commissioner communication. First, well, I think Commissioner Schrader said quite a lot. But if you're still here, Commissioner Schrader, is there anything else you would add? I do appreciate your comments very much. They're very heartfelt, and kudos back to you, too, for continuing a very solid relationship. Is she here?
Yes, I am here, and again, I've already said quite a bit, but Judy, I can't express how much I just really like you. You are funny, you've been fantastic. I'm really going to miss you greatly. And I think that I always called it Manhattan to Malala and Malala to Manhattan, how 2 people from totally different backgrounds and different experiences can really become close, at least I hope, close friends. And you put up with me, all of you put up with me with my phobias. And I have also appreciated that. So God bless you and Merry Christmas, my dear friend. I wish you the best. And I wish the best to all of my colleagues. And I think you all know that. And that's about all I have to say. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your kind words. Wow. Okay, Ben, you going to top that? You're up.
Gosh, this is not easy. I only got to serve with you guys for 2 years, Chair Smith and Commissioner Shull. And I found it to be quite an honor to do so. And it's I'm happy for what's next for both of you. This is, I know wherever you guys land, whoever those people you get to work with, or your next endeavor. Maybe, Shoal, you're going to spend a little bit more time being a grandpa, which is super awesome. And Tootie, I know you have things that you're looking to do too. You will be missed here, and I'm glad that I get to call both of you my friend. Public service is pretty. This work is pretty tough. You're out there trying to do the best you can for your neighbors. Politics is a little bit of a blood sport. You lay it all out there, and everything is very public and exposed. Everything. And then there are those that look to capitalize on every opportunity, and they're quick to spread lies or to defame or to use a lot of ad hominem attacks. And it's hard to see people go through that you care about. Even if you don't always agree, so what? That'd be boring if we all did. But Chair, you were a phenomenal leader in a time when the county had a lot of chaos. And we went from a county that was struggling under multiple threats like ice storms and heat domes and fires and wildfires and things that would make it very difficult just to move forward as a county and to feel safe and secure. But you guided us through that, and not a lot of people could have the steel spine to do that. You were the right person for the job when that chaos was happening. We had COVID. We had riots and unrest in the Portland metro area that was all over national media. We had, the last 4 years have been anything but just like get along, go along, and peaceful and chill and moving forward. And I think that you did a really great job leading and navigating the county. And now you leave the county far better than when you walked into it.
Thank you.
And not a lot of leaders can say that. And that's just the truth. Like right now, Clackamas County's reputation is quite stellar in the region. If you're behind closed doors and they're not all playing politics, they're asking, how the hell are you guys doing it? How are your outcomes so much better? Why are we the only county that aren't $20+ million in the hole right now, and there's a brand new courthouse right there? How did you guys, create a recovery-oriented system of care that's the most respected and replicatable in the region, and we're still struggling to do the basics? How did you guys have this safest large county in the region and have that culture? How did you guys galvanize all 16 cities with all different agendas and take on ODOT and get 2 pauses on tolling, and now they're really scared to bring it back again because of the local fight? How did you lead through all that? That's a much different county than what you walked into, Chair. And I have had opportunities to work alongside you, and at times, butt heads, but in a productive way. At times, it's not always, you're not always like, it's not all kumbaya all the time behind the scenes when you're trying to wrestle out ideas. But we got there together as a team, and no one can take away those successes. And I really appreciate your leadership, Chair, and I look forward to future work with you. I know that this is not the end by any means. And then Commissioner Shoal, there are very few men in my life that I've come across that have your level of integrity. You have a huge heart for everybody in this county and in your community, and you have led, your story is one of selfless public service in many capacities, and I've learned a lot and been inspired and challenged just by the way that you show up every single day. And it's not common in our society for me to be able to say to a lot of men that they have a certain level of integrity and that they show up. It's a life lesson I try to teach my own son and do better in my own life, but you exemplify that character trait in doing the work, doing what it takes to get the job done against all headwinds, pressing forward, and then letting that be the testimony of who you are. And so you're going to be missed also. I think it's unfortunate that we have such a man of integrity that is no longer going to be on this board, and we're having to now deal with a level of chaos and dysfunction and deceit that is unfortunate that we will have to contend with moving forward. But your legacy is set, and you overcame a lot as a commissioner, and I really enjoyed serving with you also. So thank you to both of you. I wish that it was, personally, I wish that I was serving with both of you for the next 2 years, but the voters made the choices that they made, and we move forward. I also want to just wish everybody, this is my favorite holiday. I love Christmas, so I want to wish Clackamas County a very Merry Christmas, and enjoy time with your families, reflect on like what this is all about and how we can love our neighbors and peace on earth and goodwill to all men and those things that are important, and enjoy the eggnog and the tidings and the good times too. And I will have some time to sit back and watch my favorite Christmas movies. And Lakewood Theater, I think right now is showing A Christmas Story, if you want a good laugh.
Nice.
So that's the big leg lamp.
Yep.
And you'll shoot your eye out, movie. That's a classic. I love that movie. But they have a musical version of that at the Lakewood Theater. Spend some time with your family. Go check out the zoo lights, or and take some time to reflect back on the year. And Merry Christmas, Clackamas County. And I look forward to coming back next year to continue to do the good work without missing a step, even though we'll have some new colleagues on this board. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you for those kind words, Commissioner West. I will remember them always, along with Commissioner Schrader. Commissioner Savas, you're up.
Well, tough acts to follow.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. So I'm gonna come from a perspective here, so please indulge me. So, my public service started in 1997, and I first met our county commissioners at the time, and every county commissioner from here forward, from then forward. And I remember one particular commissioner in a hearing that I was watching, and there was a person at the dais that was just ripping into those county commissioners when there were 3 county commissioners back in the day. And I saw, oh my gosh, I would never, ever want to be a county commissioner. My God, the stuff they have to deal with, right? And, with my 14 years now as a county commissioner and my activity, so by the way, I just didn't have that one experience with the county. I kind of worked with all the county commissioners in my roles at capacity, water district, sewer district, issues around the county. And I've been a very involved person for the last 27 years. And so, lo and behold, I ended up here. And so my 14 years of continuous service, working closer with the Board of County Commissioners on a daily basis, got to realize that it's your family. It becomes your family. We are family. And I could say that, in my own personal family, things aren't always rosy, right? And they're tough, and no different here, right? We make sacrifices, and we do a lot of hard work. And last evening, almost every evening this week, I've been on the phone at meetings, and so I was talking, one of the elected officials I was speaking to last night, it was about 9 o'clock, and I could hear the kids in the back, because she has young kids, and I could hear the kids in the back. I go, I'm going to let you go. You got kiddos. It's late. I still have another phone call, so I let her go. But I just want to let you know the personal sacrifices of elected officials and the work that we do is not really recognized. It's a thankless job for the most part. And this morning at JPACT, we said farewell to 2 of our colleagues at JPACT, Mayor Callahan from Hillsborough and Commissioner Stegman from Oldham County, who was in the meeting. And in the last actually 2 or 3 weeks of these meetings, we've been saying farewell to a lot of folks. But I've never really seen, I can't remember a time we've seen so many changes, right, that are going to be taking place as of January, early January. New people being sworn in, a lot of people going. The institutional knowledge that we're losing, right, and the passion and knowledge, and it takes a lot to get any elected official up to speed, right? So the work that we've done, Commissioner Smith has tremendous knowledge and experience, both the state legislature, county commissioner first year term, and this current term. And that's hard to replace. I mean, that's got insight, value, connections, memory, that institutional knowledge. That's a value. And I'm not a believer in term limits because of that. I'm just going to say that up front. I didn't even plan on saying that, but I'm going to say it. You look at the last 4 years, it's been tough. And Chair Smith has pointed this out, we've been through a lot of emergencies, and certainly they weren't the first, but certainly the compounding, one right after another, has been incredible. Our budget challenges have been pretty significant, but I also want to recognize the great work that we've done. We're the only county in this region that has a solid budget. And I've been sharing that with people. I go, be mindful, Washington County struggling, they're in a deficit. City of Portland struggling, they're in a deficit, and Multnomah County, they're also in a deficit, struggling. And here we stand with a solid budget. And that is a compliment to all of us and our staff and all the other elected officials for their cooperation in getting us here we are today. So also thanks to our concerned and valued citizens that sit on all the committees, or whether they don't sit on committees and call in and all their good work. It makes us better who we are, keeps us informed. They are the ears to the ground to keep us informed, and we do our best with them. I want to acknowledge, I'm going to start with Commissioner Scholl. Ben, I think you just took about almost every talking point I wanted to say. Commissioner Scholl, you're a statesman. I love that you maintain your composure in the tough situations. I love your punctuality. You and I share those thoughts often, but I just want to commend you. And I grew up, a lot of my relatives, my uncles, senior relatives are in the military. I grew up in a military environment, so you bring back something I miss. And that is that punctuality, that composure, that professionalism that our military members bring and have. And I want to thank you for that, for your service here and your service in the military. So thank you. It's been a pleasure to work with you, and I like the fact that you have an even keel when it comes to approaching any imbalances. I've seen you stick up for the little guy often, and I appreciate that. That even happened this week in a conversation, even though we didn't say it, but we were really talking about the little guy. Not all people get treated fairly, and political favoritism happens, and we're a county that's a victim of not really getting a lot of that because we're the smaller of the 3 metro counties. Commissioner Smith, absolutely love the fact that everyone knows where you stand. Everyone knows where you stand. I love Ben's comment about your steel spine. You're a tough cookie, and I appreciate that about you. Your experience and your passion is clear. You love this work, and I know you love this county. I know Commissioner Scholl, we all do, but you care, and we know that. And I know we've had some tough times, but at the end of the day, you and I can look at each other, we can smile, we can appreciate each other, and I just want to thank you, because it's not easy being the chair. All the work, and all the phone calls and all the stuff and all that responsibility, that weighs on your shoulders. I know that. I get that. So I just want to thank you for your contribution, and I wish you the best. Wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate your comments, Paul. This is very hard. This is a county that I dearly love. I was born in Oregon City. I've often said I'm the most blessed person in the world, because then I come to work every day in Oregon City. Although this is not an end for me, my term continues until January 5th of next year. Hopefully there are no emergencies, Gary. Everything will be smooth, and I will too enjoy my most favorite holiday is Christmas with family and friends. I am so hugely grateful to being able to live in this county. It's a wonderful county. It's also politically diverse county, and that makes us all better. And probably the best part of public service for me is the relationships that I have developed, especially with staff, because we're in the trenches every single day trying to work out, and with my fellow commissioners. And we are like a family. And, you don't always agree to eat the peas and carrots because you just don't like them, okay? But we figure out how to maneuver and go forward. And I become a better person as chair because of the diverse opinions of our public, but our commissioners as well, who will remind me of whatever, because I can't keep track of all that. I do feel that in 2024 that I leave my tenure as chair with the county in a better position than what I walked through the doors in. And to reiterate, we had in a very short amount of time, 3 declared emergencies all at the same time, which was probably a record for any county in the United States of America, of which I've been told. We had COVID, and we needed our employees to come back to work because they're our most valuable asset to make the county run and perform and give the services to the people who demand them. And then going forward, we had budget concerns. We had the opportunity to decide to build a courthouse or not. Past commissions, although the past commission decided to do the P3 model, they did not decide to actually build it or find the money to do it. And as regarding the courthouse, it has been on the list to build, Gary, for decades. It's part of the master plan for the Red Soils campus. And commissioners just couldn't figure out how to do it. And we were able to do it in part from a 50% match from the Oregon legislature, but we still have to come up with hundreds of millions of dollars to do it. In most counties, they're even more prosperous than Clackamas County, were not able to do it, but because of the budget work that this commission performed, along with our wonderful staff and the head of the departments, to perform budgets differently and implement all these really boring procedures like a chart of accounts and monthly checkbook reconciliations and austerity measures that really aren't so bad after all. And I'd like to think that we manage this budget like we would our own household budget, very mindful of the future and how much money is coming in. We fully funded our police and gave them more to do better, to increase the hiring practices. We reduced homelessness by a huge amount where the other counties are still trying to figure that out. And in part, as Commissioner Wessner says, because our approach is very different. I didn't want to deal with homelessness when I came on, but man, this is a huge societal crisis on our hands, and I kept wondering, well, how do you become homeless? So, before Ben came on, my thing was address the causation of homelessness. Why are these people get them into a place and then work on making them better. And Ben has really latched on to that, and that'll be very good going forward. We led the fight to stop tolling because, again, they decided to toll Clackamas County first and only. So we rose to the occasion and got a pause on tolling, but we'll see what happens with that. We led the fight to overturn Measure 110 with a really gutsy move that I said, Commissioners, let's just put something on the ballot and ask the citizens if the Oregon legislature should overturn Measure 110. Well, we didn't have to leave on very long. The legislature looked at it, realized that was a great causation toward homelessness for the illicit drugs. We've been very vigilant, like I say, in our spending, and we have invested in the future with new buildings. Now, Clackamas County is the oldest county in the state of Oregon, and our housing authority is by far the oldest. And it shows. We're kind of long in the tooth in some of our buildings, hence the reason why we replaced the courthouse. We're building new libraries, health clinics, roads, a fair facility, transportation facility, and we've aided the efforts of many, many other organizations. For instance, a brand new mental health clinic of more than doubling the space of 44,000, and just all the other things that have come our way. I think what is key for us is Clackamas County received ARPA funds just like the other counties did, and we received opportunities. And in Clackamas County, we were able to take those opportunities and multiply them exponentially. And because of the board and our adherence to the same really moral structure going forward, we're able to do that. And we spent a lot of these one-time monies on sticks and bricks, and it's going to show soon, where the other counties didn't. And so I was really happy about that. And again, we talk about right-sizing our budget. We have a $153 million rainy day fund. And when you talk about other counties, they're in the hole. And you still have to maintain some dollars for your legally appointed reserves and contingencies. all the folks who supported me, and they are a lot. Please know that my commitment to Clackamas County does not end here. I will always look forward to being a part of the community and strengthen our future. And I started my time in politics in 1987 as an advocate, as a volunteer and executive director. Spent a lot of time in journalism, speaking and writing. And I was elected in the Oregon legislature, but now in 2024, I think maybe my most heartfelt, enduring future is ahead of me at hand, and I will let you know what that is. But I will always, always miss this government. It's very heartfelt walking away. I had intended to stay another term, but as Gary said, the voters thought differently. So I want to thank you all for your support and all the nice things that were said today. And Gary, seeing no further business before this
Chair Smith?
commission.
Oh, you didn't get to.
I am so sorry, Commissioner Scholl.
Yeah, just don't gavel down quite yet. Good morning, Clackamas County. I'll make a few comments here today, but I want to start with some comments about a natural resource that we have that is being underutilized. Last Friday, I was in Salem at the board meeting for the Association of Oregon and California Counties. That's the organization that oversees BLM's management of 2.1 million acres in Western Oregon of forest lands. 95,000 of those acres lie in our county. But people don't realize the potential for a better Oregon economy that is standing on some 30 million acres in this state. A total of almost 700,000 acres of timberland just in Clackamas County alone. And if we look at the 95,000 acres in our county that's managed by the Bureau of Land Management for the Association of Oregon and California Counties. Oh, by the way, Oregon and California, there's no California counties. There are only 18 Oregon counties in the Association of Oregon and California Counties. The 2.1 million acres in Western Oregon that BLM manages produces some 1.2 billion board feet of new growth each year. And back in 1937, when the ONC Act was passed by the U.S. Congress, it required BLM to harvest 500 million board feet on that 2.1 million acres every year. But in 2025, BLM estimates that the total sales that are going to be offered only come up to 212 million board feet. A billion board feet less than the new growth that those lands will put on. So in 2025, BLM has two sales scheduled for BLM lands in Clackamas County. Hot Case Lane salvage sale goes up for bids in February 2025. That's 2.4 million board feet. And then a Mary Ellen sale for May of 2025, it's 6.5 million board feet just in our county. So we have 5.5% in our county of all the BLM managed ONC lands. And so we receive 5.5% of total harvest on the 18-member county. So if a tree is harvested in Douglas County, for example, we get 5.5% of the revenues off that tree. And likewise, Klamath County, for example, would receive their percent of any tree cut in our county. So we all share. But what's happening is two things. One, we are being denied a more vibrant economy, not just in Clackamas County, but in the state of Oregon, because of the underutilization and actually the poor management of this tremendous natural resource. Just so you know, just on the 2.1 million acres of BLM land, ONC lands, in 1937, when the ONC Act was passed by Congress, they estimated there was 50 billion board feet of standing timber on those 2.1 million acres. Today, the estimate is that there's 73 billion board feet standing. So every year, the total fiber on these lands grows hugely. So I want everybody to be aware of this, that the potential economic stimulus to this state is growing at a huge rate, some 30 billion board feet every year statewide, 30 billion board feet of potential economic benefit to the state. So please be aware of these things. Stay tuned. Keep some pressure on your elected officials, especially those going next year to the U.S. Congress. We need help, and we need a better economy. Our agriculture in this county is doing well, producing billions in revenue every year. We need to see our forest lands doing the same. So it's been an interesting 4 years. I really have appreciated working for the people of Clackamas County. And as I get around the county, people will come up to me and talk to me about what it's like to be on the commission and thank me for my work. Every day, in every decision I've made for the last 4 years, there's two things that are always on my mind. One, how will my decision affect families struggling to pay for their mortgage, raise those children, and pay their taxes? And how will my decision affect those people who are working tirelessly at a small business, many of whom every 2 weeks meet their payroll and sometimes go home to their own families with a very small check left over for them, for these young small business owners? It's not easy running a business. And often in the state of Oregon, some of the laws that are passed and measures that are passed make it more difficult. Measure 110 made things very difficult. Luckily, we saw Measure 118 in the general election this year fail. Thank God for that. Our businesses are still struggling with the corporate activity tax, which is a sleight of hand sales tax that is making it difficult for many businesses, and it's also making Oregon a less attractive place to come for new business. I'm proud of the work we've done as a commission and the work we've done with the county staff. I've worked with so many good people. They're very dedicated. And of course, I'm not always popular because I'm always a hammer on the budget. I knew that coming into this job that my ability to say no would be tested. And I think people probably think, well, Commissioner Shull sure knows how to use the word no. But I also know how to use the word yes when things are really needed to benefit the people of our county. I am happy to say that I was one of the initial, not no, but hell no on tolling, and I'll continue to be that way. It's something we've suppressed from happening, but I'm afraid that that might be coming back. So we need to keep the pressure on. Tolling is a very ineffective way to tax the people to pay for highway infrastructure. And so I too respect the will of the voters and what happened this year. It was a bit of a surprise. But I'll tell you that should Clackamas County need my services in the future, just give me a call, and I'll be happy to help out in any way I can. And with that, I wish all the families of Clackamas County a very Merry Christmas. And I wish everyone a very prosperous new year in 2025. And with the help of God, we will be able to keep a strong Clackamas County, a good state of Oregon, and our nation also. Hopefully, we'll see much more strength and a better future for every American very soon. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Save the best for last. Seeing no further business before this commission, we are adjourned.